purpose of this record.
This is the podcast about the golden age of hip-hop, dance, 808 freestyle, the culture, the happenings, and the stories of early hip-hop from the artists who were there. Across all socials, subscribe at iTunes, iHeart, YouTube, Stitcher, and many more at Old School Rewind. Welcome to the Old School Rewind podcast with Aaron Goodwin.
Got you, Don Amici. Thanks. This week on the Old School Rewind, the New York ScratchMasters.
You say a one for the trouble, two for the time. Come on, y'all, let's break this.
Welcome back to another Old School Rewind podcast. We are the podcast that does tribute to the golden age of hip-hop from 1982 to around 1989 or so. As I start the show today, I think I speak for everybody, regardless of where you lie in that spectrum, because saying if you're from 82 to 89 and you're a fan of hip-hop means that you started with dance music and saw the evolution into adding a rapper to the DJ, adding a DJ to the rapper, either or, however you like it, chicken before the egg, egg before the chicken. But I think a lot of us, no matter where we started on the spectrum, started somewhere near high school, maybe even grammar school for some of you. I just turned 50. So I'm an old schooler. I didn't invent hip-hop, but I was there. I love that line. I think all of us got our fancy for the format from someone giving us a mixtape. Right? Isn't that how it started? Or you were that guy or gal that had the mixtape. And that's where the love comes from. Hearing the songs that you loved at that time that you couldn't hear put together, beat by beat, that was something special for the times. Mixtapes could have been a pause tape that your buddy made for you. Mixtapes could have been something you had made for yourself. Mixtapes came along when a DJ found his way, and someone found out that they could DJ onto a cassette and get that sound transferred. It wasn't just common. We had handheld cassette recorders back then, and you'd hold it next to the radio to get the song you like. Things were much different. So when I say mixtape, it means a bunch of different things. Naturally, I was on the West Coast, and I thought, rather than leaning towards the West Coast, which is what I do sort of, the East Coast was really getting started with mixtapes also. So not only was Egyptian Lover in the West Coast, and we're hearing Cameron Paul do mixtapes, which, again, he's passed away about a month ago, and that sort of got us on the mixtape conversation on the different boards and socials that I participate in. I decided to go to the East Coast first, and I found the New York ScratchMasters. And I remember those mixes being used by the West Coast DJs. So did they come first, right? Or was it timing? And someone sat on them and just the radio hadn't caught up, or the format hadn't caught up? All a big question. Go ahead and answer it in this podcast. We're going to go ahead and play about 30 minutes of the New York ScratchMasters, and I'm not going to play them in any particular order. There's about 5, I think, 5 or 6. And like next week, we'll do Unknown DJ. We might be able to get DJ Unknown on the show through our buddy Lonzo, who's got a new podcast that I'll tell you about a little later. But these are the New York ScratchMasters right here on the Old School Rewind podcast with Aaron Goodwin. You got to light it up for everybody. We lit it up for Cameron Paul. Let's light it up for these guys. From Houdini to KB, AJ. mean, these parts of AJ Scratch that the New York ScratchMasters are using were trend-setting pieces of music that got in the ears of us infected at that time. The New York ScratchMasters are in the mix on the Rewind. You notice as you're listening to the Fat Boys, the left-right going with the different scratches. That was one of the tricks they used then. Prevalent feed in stereo for the mix. Add-ins going left and right. Coming foreground, going back.
It all started out when I was very young. My family had a band, boy, it was a big fun. Well, this is the beginning of my history. Let me tell you my name.
It's
What it is, Donald D. Tell me, I wasn't on the case. From 45s to 33s, I knew from the beginning it was just for me. One D is for Donald, the other's for D. Just in case you didn't know, I'm talking about me.
Old School Rewind Podcast in the mix. New York ScratchMasters. Yes, I am. Yeah. You can hear the elementary scratches. I can do those scratches right there you're hearing.
Got the funky delicious, delicious the funk. So darn good it makes your heart pump.
Not this new stuff. I don't know how many Seratos you got to count up or how many YouTube videos you watch. Give it to me like this. Slow, old school, and on wax.
1, 2, 3, hit me, it's the groove. So when it comes on, you got to do it, turn around. Now pick up your body and bust the move, turn around. Don't stop rocking till I say when.
So faint of a tempo increase right there, back to Houdini's 5 minutes of funk. Oh, yeah. Yeah, a little pumpkin lick of King of the Beat. The New York ScratchMasters mixtape on the Old School Rewind. By the way, you can reach out to us at oldschoolrewind.com. Facebook, Old School Rewind Podcast. Don't forget to add the word podcast. My types of scratches right there. And that was a big deal back then. Shout out to Pumpkin, King of the Beat. Old School Rewind Podcast, Aaron Goodwin. 4 de Mayo, the day before Cinco de Mayo 2018. You're with the New York ScratchMasters in the mix. Here come Funk Box. Hey, listen, if you're shaking your ass right now, you're not alone, okay? Old School Rewind Podcast. We're doing the New York ScratchMasters, and I think I've got 5 or 6 from the New York ScratchMasters. We're going to play 3 of them here. They're not numbered in any certain way. Did some digging to find them. And they're on the Rewind, and now we rewind. The Old School Podcast. More of that golden age for you in the mix. Shout out to Cameo.
I like the way she talks and she turns me on with a special concern. Now I'm a different guy and I don't compare to many, but next to her I'm plain ordinary. Not many can see the light blue aura that surrounds the girl wherever in the world. She's a 9, a 10, a 20, 50. She's bittersweet and a taco treat. She's strange and I like it just the way she is. Walking down the avenue,
Cranking the art of noise. Old School Rewind Podcast. I'm Aaron Goodwin with the New York ScratchMasters in the mix.
Starting here and starting now. Do you hear me? I need a man who could show me how. Fit the bill or don't die. Hey baby, I won't die. And if the shoes point in my direction, you sure they're dancing in time. shakedown, stand it to the takedown. Hollywood's a fake down. Give me a
We're the podcast focusing on the years 1982 to 1989, and mixtapes were so important. We're doing a tribute to the New York ScratchMasters today on the Old School Rewind. Not really. That's Eddie Murphy from a comedy album. It's grown folks music. A shout out to my man Cos. Just attended a freestyle concert there at Sacramento. I'm from Central California, the Valley, Stockton, Modesto, my hometown of Manteca. I reside at the 35 acres in a microphone podcast farm now. But Cos left me some tickets to the show again. Thanks, Cos. You guys kicked ass, man. Hey, what can I do to get Pretty Tony in the fold? He told me, I'm busy. Hit me back in the spring. So I hit him this week. Beautiful. Spring, right? On the Old School Rewind podcast. Thank you for being here. 10,000 listeners per month. Can't do it without you. Share. Subscribe. For all the poppers out there, the New York ScratchMasters were doing this. This was popping and breaking music. You're listening to Pretty Tony mixed with No Parking. Pretty Tony, man. It's spring, brother. It's spring. Wow. Old School Rewind podcast. This week's podcast paying tribute to the mixtape. In the background, the New York ScratchMasters doing what they do best. Laid back and a top 40 hit, yes. Owner of the Lonely Heart being played there. Had to be there. This is the one time of the week, us grown folks can go back to when we weren't such grown folks. That is, if we got any youngsters listening. If you're here, you're learning something.
If you want to ride, don't ride the white horse.
What is that? Body talk by the deal, I believe.
If you want to ride, don't ride the white horse. Don't ride the white horse. White horse. White horse. Don't ride the white horse.
If you're listening to the podcast right now and you're riding the white horse, stop.
Don't ride the white horse. Don't ride the white.
Old School Rewind Podcast. You got to be a cultured ear to really appreciate this stuff. As soon as Rockwell starts, you can hear Michael Jackson starting in the background. Is that Don't Stop? Shake your body? No, don't stop till you get enough.
I'm just an average man with an average life. I work from 9 to 5. Hey hell, I pay the price. All I want is to be left alone in my average home. But why do I always feel like I'm in the twilight zone? And I always feel.
You know, Rockwell is Kennedy William Gordy, of course, son of Barry Gordy. You're listening to 1984, courtesy of the Old School Rewind Podcast and the New York ScratchMasters in the mix.
I broke the door real tight. People call me on the phone, I'm trying to avoid. Look at the people on TV see me, what am I? Just paranoid. When I'm in the shower, I'm afraid to wash my hair. Cause I might open my eyes and find someone standing there. People say I'm crazy, just a little touched. But maybe showers remind me of psycho too much. That's why I always feel somebody's watching. And I have no privacy. I always feel somebody's watching. Who's playing tricks on me?
So dope. Art of Noise and the Davey D song. Old School Rewind. Name's Aaron Goodwin. Howdy. From Central California, all around the world via iTunes, iHeart. Where do you get your podcast from? Google Old School Rewinders. Go to oldschoolrewind.com. We are the podcast that features the golden age of hip-hop, 1982 to 1989, and I'm a 30-plus year broadcaster, one of the first to play this music in the area that I'm from. Again, Central California. Ooh, listen to that. Gal that just sang that song, interesting story, that background singer for Luther Vandross, but you might have remembered in 1991, was it 91 or 90? I only make mention because it was such a big deal. It might even be 89. It might fit well within the Old School Rewind. But a song called How Can I Ease the Pain? Remember this right here? Right, so that's Lisa Fisher, who is under the alias, at the time she's singing background for Luther Vandross, Xena. You just heard a very Shannon-esque type song by the producers of Let the Music Play and Give Me Tonight and those. That's why it sounds so similar. And again, Shannon said that people used to confuse them or say that they were the same people or things like that. Oh, you want to know about what Shannon said? Oh, okay. We're on episode 31. Just go back about 6, 7, 8 podcasts, 10 podcasts or so, when we had the mega queen of freestyle worldwide on the show. Great lady, classy lady still. Not too many classy ladies left. This podcast features the golden age of hip-hop and dance, of dance and hip-hop. They were one and the same at the time. Everything wasn't so niched off. And we do it every Friday. And I appreciate you being here. Again, from the 35 acres and a microphone podcast farm. Join me next Friday for the Old School Rewind, where we'll be in tribute of mixtapes for the next few weeks. And I'm talking about Beatronic. I'm talking about Unknown DJ. I'm talking about some of that good, Saturday Night The Mixes. You ever heard Saturday Night The Mixes? Ooh, not enough time to do it. Sorry. Catch me next week, okay? All right. Again, subscribe, share, and thank you for listening to the Old School Rewind podcast. Let's close it out.